And Sean Gunn joins us from Ventura, California. Sean, thanks for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
We have some important issues to talk about, but quickly, just for our audience, you are sitting in front of plates with rooster images on them.
Oh, it's my rooster plate collection, Ian. I've been cultivating it for about 15 years, and I enjoy it. It's something that you can collect on a meager actor's salary. So I'm proud of it.
All right. Well, they are very beautiful, but I just thought we would explain that to our audience. Now, to the issue at hand, let's start with residuals. It's a term that a lot of people throw around, but explain for our audience what they are and how significant they are for actors.
Well, residuals come to actors when the content that they've created is replayed in other forms. And it used to be we had this old system where shows would get syndicated and they do reruns, right? We'd call them reruns. And every time a show would air, the actors would get a little cut of that because it's content that they participated in creating that they still get some participation in. There's still ad revenue coming in. They're still selling these products. Well, streaming came along, and streaming has changed that entire model. And the companies like Netflix, they don't pay residuals.
So, quick little follow-up question before we go on to other issues. Let's talk about Gilmore Girls, a series you were on, debuted on television, that old thing, back in 2000. It was syndicated, but now it's on Netflix. So, I mean, do you still get any money for the fact that Gilmore Girls is a staple on Netflix?
I get some, and without, people tell me not to reveal exact amounts, but we still get some residuals. But I still see more residuals from basic cable and things like that than I do from Netflix. And Netflix is where it's been an absolute runaway success, where people are binging it. They called it for a little while. I think it was the most binge watched show they had. Or if not, it's very close to it. It's one of their most popular shows. Well, all I know is that I get a little tiny cut of the licensing fee they paid to Warner Brothers. I don't even know how long that contract lasts for. I don't know what that percentage or amount is, but I know that it's very, very small. And I know that Netflix wants to keep those numbers very, very small.
Another issue I want to talk about, and time is running out, but it's important that we talk about this, and that is using artificial intelligence to create images of actors. So theoretically, and we're not too far away from where a studio could, let's say, hire you at the beginning of a shoot, especially for a series, and then the rest of the time use a computer-generated, artificial intelligence-generated image of you. As I understand it, that's a pretty big issue in this strike. Tell us about that.
It is definitely a big issue. I think, Ian, that it should be clear to any of your viewers and to anyone that when a big corporation comes to you and says, hey, can we scan you and use your image in perpetuity forever, that should set off some serious alarm bells. Like we should not be in the business of giving away our image. And so let's just make sure that we're transparent about it and keep everybody at the table. Let's have some kind of a deal where maybe once a year we review how AI is being used and make sure that it's fair and equitable for everybody. But what they're trying to do on the AMPTP side is they want to run around us and say, let's make a deal about AI that lasts 10 years in the future or forever, and you don't get to negotiate about that at all.
This strike, as you know, is having an impact on both the United States and here in Canada. And as you know, Disney CEO Bob Iger has called the strike disruptive. What's your message to him and other CEOs?
I saw those comments from Bob Iger. I thought that it was really tone deaf that he did it from the landscape of a billionaire's retreat. But it's also indicative of kind of part of the problem that we're dealing with, which is that, the CEOs on that side of the table, they're trying to squeeze as much profit as they possibly can out of our work, out of our labor. And that's what happens is that labor suffers, and quality suffers too. But when Bob says that it's a shame He doesn't mean it's a shame for him. He keeps his salary. He gets to make money if he cuts losses and increases profits for his shareholders. He means it's a shame for us. It's a shame for the people that work under him for his company. And I think that that's why it's an ethical issue as well as everything else.
And if I may, one last question. You know, I think of strikes in the sports world, and sometimes people say, well, this is billionaire owners against millionaire players. Really, I can't relate to this as an average person. And so I wonder if there's an equivalent here that you worry about. What if somebody watching were to say, this is rich studios battling rich actors. I don't really care what happens. What would you say to them?
I would point to the fact that I'm the person that you're talking about, because I'm not a millionaire. I'm not, and so from that perspective, it's not millionaires versus billionaires. But it's true that it's less about me than it is for the people, the working class people, the writers and the actors who are trying to pay their bills, trying to pay their rents, trying to pay their mortgages, and there's a lot of us, and those are the folks that we are fighting for. You know, they just want to cut costs wherever they can. So let's overwork writers if we can. Let's cut out actors' residuals. Every single thing we can do to squeeze every last dollar out of labor. We're not just trying to make as much money as possible. We're trying to also make good art and make content and make stuff that people enjoy. Doesn't mean it shouldn't also be profitable. It should, but it means that it shouldn't only be about the profits.
Well, the impact on average people certainly is being seen and felt here in Vancouver, as you can imagine. So, yeah, a lot of people watching this closely. Sean, thank you very much for speaking with us tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I really appreciate the time.